Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined as always by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett, and our very special guest tonight, the Ken Ingalls. Ken, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. How was your week? What's going on in your world?
Oh man, what is going on in my world? Day job, always gotta be going at that. I got a new truck, or I got my first truck actually. I'm 41 years old. I got my first truck. I'm excited about that. I'm officially a truck guy now.
Okay.
So feeling that out.
Wow.
Yeah, but other than that, just hanging out, spending time, really kind of digging into, the combine starting now, and
Mhm.
The league year's right around the corner, so I'm starting to think a lot about that. But other than that, just getting through the week, almost the weekend.
Nice.
That's right. So wait, hold on a second. You got a truck. You're becoming a truck guy. I'm curious what has brought this about. Why a truck now? And what does it mean to you?
Yeah. So, last year around this time, we were thinking about like getting a camper, like a full on, like big, And I'm like, well, in order for that, I need to have a truck. So I started doing the truck shopping and like really understanding like towing and all the things and all the math, right, involved with like what it takes to actually safely tow.
Oh yeah.
And then we decided not to buy a trailer. We actually bought like a full on like park model that's never going to move. I'm like, well, now I don't need the truck, but now I am a year later. I'm like, but I think I want the truck. So here I am. And plus, there's other like fun toys and things I can be moving around with it too. But it was time. My RAV was 10 years old, and there were some things going with it. So made the move, made the switch. So
now truck guy, awesome.
Yeah, 2 days in, even though it's at the shop getting. Yeah.
What color is it?
It's marsh gray, which I couldn't explain. It's like depending on how you look at it, sometimes it looks a little green, sometimes it looks a little gray, sometimes it looks a little brown, and the accents are black. I like it. It grew on me over time, but I was like, I like that one. So
nice.
Classic.
And Dawn, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. We've had a few weeks off here, so I'm really happy to be with
you.
Here.
I had some life things to take care of, and they're taken care of now, and it feels really good to get that behind me. My goodness, I'm doing okay. Life is good here. We had our little 2 or 3 weeks of winter. It's
hold on. Which meant what? Like temperatures in the upper 50s? Like what was winter?
Oh gosh, no, that's freezing. No, we had some rain. We got some rain, which I love. I love winter. We got a little bit more rain. I think I was bragging on this show that we were out of our drought finally, and that's not really bragging, but I was super happy. And so we got a little extra rain on top of that.
Ooh.
So it's very dry where I live, Ken, and droughty. But I'm just happy because it's time for flowers, and the flower fields are starting to bloom nearby or out my back. You can see the colors popping, and signs of spring are everywhere. I love it.
Yeah, no, we don't have that. We don't have that here. Everything's brown, and now the snow melted. So
yeah.
I hate this time of year where I like that the weather's getting better. But I don't like just kind of looks just brown and gray outside,
Yeah.
Spring.
It's all muddy everywhere. And here in Cincinnati, we had like a big old snowfall this morning. It was like 2 inches or something, but then it melted before like 1 o'clock. So it's just everything's just kind of wet and gross outside right now. But leaving work and it's like 58 degrees outside. Well, there's that number again. Weird. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, it's all right. We're getting there bit by bit.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I mean, we're almost March. I mean, it's the end of February, or 2 more days in February. I just realized that today. Like, it feels like January 1st still. How can it be February 20, whatever? So we've got some chatters here. Hey everyone, making fun of your digs there.
As
for
always.
Matt.
As always. You know, because so I should tell you, Ken, I have this like really nice Packers flag. It's sitting over here. This is not the flag. It's just like a wooden thing. Every week I'm like, this is the week. I'm going to hang it up right behind me. It's going to be amazing. I have it all kind of like measured out where I can like put the nails and everything. I just haven't done it. So it's been an ongoing thing. But I like the idea though, that what True North is saying here, the idea that behind the wooden thing here, that's a tunnel, you know, a la the Shawshank Redemption. That's how I'm going to get out. I think that's it. But of course, Joe does counter with, I'm waiting for the giant Vince Lombardi poster before I come to that conclusion. That's the poster I'm going to try to get in prison to like keep me sane. It's going to be Vince Lombardi. That's right.
That's awesome.
Going for that.
Your escape hatch back there.
Yeah. Did you get a new sweatshirt, Matt?
I got this one a while back. No, this is a real comfy one. I like it because my basement's still a little bit cold. So happy to have it on.
I'm jealous of that sweatshirt. That looks awesome.
It is. Yeah. I don't remember it, but
it's from the previous throwbacks that they had.
Oh, okay.
The ones that in fact, this hat was from that too.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So the thing is, the flag's going to be behind you. Are you going to cover the flag up, or are you going to have it over to the side a little?
Oh, it'll be like everything in frame. I measure it so that we had a spot where it just covers everything.
Okay.
So that's the idea.
So the wooden sign could go on your side wall there, maybe.
Or something. Yeah. Put something there would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
Well, everyone, if
you can't see mine like right here, like there, this is like my sports like treasures are all on there, but you can't, it's just right out of frame. Like I got my stock certificate, I got an Aaron Rodgers ball and stuff. I should move some things around in here. This is like my actual work office and my play office. So, you know, I don't really have it set up for, you know, Packers stuff when I'm in my like day job meetings. So,
yeah.
Well, I like that it's cleaner looking. A lot of podcasters that I love, they have very cluttery sets.
Yeah.
They do that on purpose. It's like a thing. But that's hard for me to look at. It's too much. So I like your look there, Ken. I approve. Yeah. It's less dizzying.
All right.
Stamp of approval. That's a tricky thing though. If you're going to be on camera for work, like how much, you know, like personal interest stuff do you put in the back? Like I think a little bit's good, you know, because you can kind of say, hey, you know, I'm a football fan. I have a couple of Packers things in the background on my work Zoom, you know, but I figured I shouldn't go too crazy with it. But a lot of people I work with will go like full on like UC jingoism in the background, University of Cincinnati where I work. Crazy amounts of like red and black and Bearcats. And it's like, okay.
Wow.
You work here. Okay.
Yeah. My wife has the nice office at the house. So when we built this house and we're like, yeah, we're probably going to, you know, we both now work from home, but at the time, like we would kind of occasionally work at home. So we built an office. And then we moved in like a month after like COVID, like shut down everything. So then this is a bedroom. So I get the bedroom and she has the nice, like dedicated office. And she's got, like you said, Matt, like the really nice, like background and the painted wall and shelves. And you get to see my big closet doors.
Yeah.
That's the world we're living in.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the same for me actually, because my wife has a really nice room that's like her office / craft space / the guest room. But we made sure she had the nice one because she does work from home full time, whereas I, you know, go to campus. So she has the nice one, but it was for very good reason.
Yes.
Painted walls, yes.
Yeah. Well, I live in a loft now, so I don't have rooms. So for me, I had a dedicated space and all that, but it felt small. So I'm just like, you know what? This is just the way it's going to be. I don't have a house anymore. It's cool. People keep saying, Dawn, you shouldn't show your home like that.
Why do people say that? You mentioned that before we went live.
I guess it's like security, like people that want to come and get you, then they know what to expect when they come in your house. Well, hey, guess what? Don't try it. Just don't even.
She has an attack cat. Okay.
I'll take it. Don't even try it. But yeah, a lot of people are very careful about their, like I said, it's a little too late. Maybe I shouldn't. Johnny Barks. Hey, Johnny Barks.
Yeah, Johnny Barks. Hey, Johnny. Ken Ingalls is the hero Packers Twitter needs, but not the one we deserve. Does that make Does that make him Batman or Harvey Dent? I can't remember how that It's a confusing line from Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, we're going to start.
Thanks, Johnny. That's awesome.
Oh,
either way, compliment. Yeah.
Total.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Take either one. Well, we're going to sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. We're going to start tonight by doing a little interview, like as we do on this show, to get to know our guests a little better in ways outside of a little more dimension to his content that we know from Ken, which of course is he's our cap god, if you don't mind me saying so.
Ooh, God.
Divinity.
High praise. Okay, I'll take it.
So what we love to do is get a little info that you share publicly from your Twitter. And so your Twitter is Ken-Packers-Cap at Ken Ingalls. And it says, I analyze Green Bay Packers salary cap and roster, help explain the dollars and cents. And he says cents like as in cents, SENCE, which is adorable, of the team. Also, other nerdy, random, or interesting stuff in my brain. Wisconsin. And he has a nice handy dandy link to his, I think probably one of your more recent Sports Illustrated articles. Everything you need to know about Packers salary cap challenges, solutions. Packers salary cap analyst Ken Ingalls takes a deep dive into the Green Bay Packers salary cap outlook for 2026. You're getting chills already.
That's a good one. Good article.
Including the 6 paths needed to create enough money just to break even. So, which makes me nervous. But before we get to all of that, let's start out with, first and foremost, tell us about some of the other nerdy, random, or interesting stuff in your brain tonight.
Oh, wow. I'll be honest. One of the reasons why that's even in there is to kind of fend off the, hey, stick to the cap numbers guy, numbers nerd. I don't want you talking about non-Packers salary cap things. I'm only here for that, right? But like, it's at the end of the day, it's my like personal channel, right? And if I want to talk about, some Marvel movie or some, comic book show that's on, like Invincible's a show that like I just anytime there's any content about that, like I'll post it out, be like, everyone needs to watch this because no one knows what it is and I love it. But yeah, that's mainly kind of why I have that in there. Just stick to the cap. Do it yourself.
Yeah, like shut up and dribble, right?
Yeah, right. But I don't know. Really, the truck's been top of mind, but we already talked about that.
I was thinking,
I finally got around to watching True Detective season 1. Like 10 years later. I know it's like on everyone's like Mount Rushmore of like series or whatever, like that are just like top tiered, like True Detective season 1. So my wife was traveling for work and kind of binged that over a few days while she was gone. Good stuff. I highly recommend it to the other like 3 people who would be into that type of show who haven't yet watched it because it's like from last decade. But
happy to tell you, Ken, I'm one of those 3 people because it's hard to, as you know, find a show that you can watch with your partner because they might not want to watch the same show you want to watch. And True Detective has been on my like list of like the next time my wife is traveling, like 5 or 6 shows there. So you took advantage of it when you had the chance. I love that. And you're encouraging me to make sure to find that time as well to watch it.
Yeah, highly recommend. Yeah, my wife and I, like, there are definitely shows that we watch together. Like I'm someone who like I can watch like a mind bender or whatever, and then I go to bed and I am out. Where she watches like anything that's remotely stressful or whatever before bed, she's just like,
right.
She can't get to sleep. So yeah, there's times when you got to find those moments.
Yeah. Although since I started watching trials, like real trials, I have occasionally fallen asleep to them, which is strange because usually they're like murder trials and stuff. So it's not normally what you want. And I'm kind of very aware of what you put in your subconscious. Like if you have anything going on when you're sleeping. Yeah. So if anything, it's going to be quiet or music or cat purring or something like that. But I can relate to your wife. So what are some of the things that you watch with her? What are your what are her faves?
Oh, wow. Okay. Really putting myself out there. I think the last thing we watched together what was it? There was the documentary, or like the mini documentary on Netflix. Was it the like the thing about like America's Next Top Model with Tyra Banks? Remember that
Yes.
show from like
okay.
Yeah.
we watched like
expose.
right. It was like, remember like there was like that thing about Diddy that came out a few months ago. It was kind of like that, but obviously not nearly as scandalous as that one.
Okay.
And like we're like, we needed just to turn our brains off. I think we had just
Mm.
actually left the car dealership, right? Trying to like dealing with car salesmen, right? And we're like, I want to turn my brain off and just watch something just numb. And that was perfect.
Yeah.
Talking about the drama of America's Next Top Model of all things. Like, here I am, Cap Guy. Next Top Model. Let's go.
Was not expecting that. That's great.
Like it. So we have a great comment from Johnny in the chat I want to throw up here. He's talking about True Detective. He said, I watched it on the plane during international tour with Tom. Forgot how much nudity there was in the first episode, which made me think I was on a trip with my kids' jazz band a couple of years ago as one of the chaperones, right? And I'm sitting there next to like just one of the random kids. And I was like, oh, Big Lebowski. I haven't watched that in a while. So I threw it on, forgetting there was any nudity in it at all, which there is. First thing I got to, I was like, oh, no. Where's the button to turn it off? And fumbling for it. And this kid did not notice, fortunately. But I was like, good. Ooh, where do you go? That could get me kicked off the entire trip there if I'm not careful. So.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Matt,
like, go ahead. I was going to say, it could get, that's always like a really embarrassing thing. Like when you pull up a movie or whatever, or you see someone else who's like pulling up a movie, you're like, sir, like you are like in the aisle with like the biggest iPad imaginable. It's like everyone is watching what you're doing right now. What are you doing? But wild stuff. Yeah, Seriously. True Detective gets a little rough in those first couple episodes. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, HBO, man, they're gonna show whatever they want.
Yeah, HBO is gonna HBO.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
I have not seen anything on HBO in a long time. What is so? I'm guessing it's fictional. Is it based on truth, or is it just drama?
I don't know where the True Detective comes from, but it's not a documentary by any means. Like there's always, it's fiction. I think Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey were like the two leads.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not like following or like a docuseries or a recreation. Maybe it's loosely based off of like real events. I don't know. But the first season was fantastic. So now I might need to jump into future seasons, but I'm heard it's not as good. But
that's the word on the street for sure.
Because they're not connected. They're all independent.
Okay.
Stories.
Okay. Whoa, I think I saw a documentary. I think it was a documentary about Woody Harrelson and his father. Did I ever talk about that on this show? Oh my gosh.
No.
Talk about a rabbit hole. Wow. Do you know anything about that? I'm not going to go into it.
No.
I just curious. Okay. Well, if you ever want to just explore something weird,
mental note.
Look into Woody Harrelson's father and the mob and some other things like that might come out.
Let's take the mob. Really, now I'm intrigued. Okay.
It's just a casual.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, was there some sports betting involved too? Yeah, it's you'd love it. You'd love it. It's sad though, because that's true. It's true stuff. I believe he's still in prison, but all right. So Ken, we love to hear everyone's Packers origin story. So your bio says you're from Wisconsin, or you're in Wisconsin. So who can we thank for making you into Packers fan, and who can we thank for supporting you so you can give us so much to our community?
That's a good question. I've born and raised in Wisconsin. My dad's not from Wisconsin. He was actually from Vermont. And so growing up, like he was a Patriots fan.
Oh dear.
But then he right. And then so like I never had that like generational Packer fandom, infused into me at birth.
Okay.
But living in Wisconsin and being a sports fan, of course, following the Packers. I think it became more of a diehard like later on, like kind of more towards like high school and into college. And then after graduating college, like really understanding and like starting to really like be interested in it and wanting to learn more. Do you guys remember Vic Ketchman by any chance?
Yeah, I love Vic.
Okay, yeah, he's a very polarizing figure.
Yeah.
So Vic Ketchman was the Packers.com writer, like I think in 2011, so like right after they won the Super Bowl, and he was like covering Jacksonville, and he was not a Packer fan, like at all. And so he was very divisive against people who, you know, you think, okay, you are a reporter and writer for Packers.com, and he would just like, he would talk nonsense and like kind of blast the team a little bit, but like, and like it rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. But what I loved about him is that like he really started driving home the idea that the NFL is a business, and like there's a lot of things that are happening, like, and decisions are being made, and it's not just for the love of the game, right? There's other factors involved. And I think he's like the first person I really started hearing about like how the salary cap is like meaningful, or the Packers are limited because of this thing called the salary cap, right? And he would talk about it a lot, and he had his daily kind of chats, whatever. It'd be like, and people and fans would come up with these wild scenarios. The Packers should trade for blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, yeah, never going to happen because of X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, I need to understand more about this. So that's kind of where I first started learning and like appreciating that there was this like thing, this concept out there that was kind of, you know, secretly pulling the strings, if you will, of like kind of what the Packers are allowed to do. So that just kind of had my interest. And then, you know, I started learning more and just kind of taking it upon myself and just be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And I've always been kind of like, I've had Twitter for a while, right? But I was always kind of like lurking in the background. Like, but I had it for like, you know, for OTA updates, you know, who's working at left tackle today? Ooh, who's it going to be? You know, how's it looking? Like Railbird Central back in the day, like total follower of that. But I think like then I started, I think I got one too many the Packers should trade for Odell Beckham Jr. tweets, and my mind just like snapped. And, like, and so I actually started like talking, be like, no,
yes,
like,
right,
it can't, that's not happening. Like for the, you know, Giants and the Packers, right? And then, you know, and for some reason people wanted to hear what I had to say. And, you know, I've learned a lot more along the way, kind of, you know, reaching out and trying to talk to people who are a lot smarter than me about, you know, who've been doing it a lot longer, about the salary cap, learning the rules, just trying to, you know, take it on over time. But second half of your question, like my wife's the best. She's super supportive.
Nice.
You know, I've got my day job, which is in surprisingly numbers and finance.
What?
Right. Yeah. Go figure. But like, she's like, yeah, she's like, you know, do your hobby, have fun, do with it. She's down. You know, she was able to tuck in my son tonight. You know, give him a hug before I hopped on. You know, Dad's gonna hop on. You know, she's awesome. My kiddo's awesome, and you know, she just helps out and kind of allows me to have fun in this way.
Love that.
That's awesome. And like to have the support of a family is so important, you know, for those who do have families and this kind of stuff, because having a family is a lot of work, man, you know? So the fact that you get the support and that, you know, that, hey, go do your thing, man, is amazing. So please thank your wife for all of us, you know, on our behalf.
Yeah.
And
but like, I treat this as like, for me, like it's like a hobby, and like I'm not doing Twitter or YouTube or whatever to like quit my day job and like make money. Like, yeah, I've made a few dollars here and there on things, but like by no means is that like my primary focus. Like I actually went to school originally to be a teacher. I was going to be a high school physics teacher or chemistry teacher. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And then a semester into college, I'm like, I don't want to do this. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was dating this girl who was an HR major. So I'm like, I'll be an HR major. I ended up marrying her. That's my wife. Nice. And then I'm like, I had to take an accounting class. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. And the guy's like, you're really good at this. You should take another class. And maybe that you should like do this when you grow up. And just kind of happened. But yeah, it's just, but I always have that teaching kind of in the back of my mind. Like, little known fact, this, I don't know if anyone really knows this, but I was actually the youngest ever driver's ed instructor in the state of Wisconsin.
Were you at least 16?
Amazing.
I was 19. I was state licensed at 19 years old. 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Teaching kids in a class who are like 15, 16, sometimes 17 years old. And I'm in the, parents are dropping off their kids. I'm like, hello, Mr. Ingalls is here to teach you how to drive. They're like, do you know how to drive, sir? Like, but no, like I did the classrooms, did behind the wheels. It was an awesome opportunity that my neighbor had his own like business and he got me trained up and I was certified and whatever. But it's always had that, I've always had that teaching element kind of baked into my DNA. And, my day job and, like really at the end of the day, I love just trying to like take really ridiculous, hard to understand concepts and just try and break them down to like things everyone can try and understand or at least relate to. Because otherwise we're just talking about, NFL accounting. Like how lame is that?
It's
really
wonderful.
But, like, that's so cool to hear that like you have that intersection of accounting and teaching in your background, and it makes so much sense because you are so good at like breaking stuff down and making it make sense and making it interesting too, for that matter. So like that totally makes sense. I was gonna say something else, I forget what it was, but I did want to talk about something actually along the way. At some point, of course, you were on a podcast and regularly, and in fact, Ken, this is one of my favorite artifacts of anything I own. It is an Unknown Packers podcast cup that I got from you guys. I can't remember how I got it. I don't remember what the deal was, but I keep it. I use it fondly. So
I don't even have one of those. That was before my time. I kind of joined I joined the gang a little bit later into that development and kind of tagged along for a little bit before we all had life things going on at the time, and we all kind of said, you know what, we're unable to kind of commit the time, and we kept canceling episodes, pushing it off. Oh, maybe next week. You know how it goes. Sometimes life gets in the way, and eventually, we're like, it just wasn't working out. But I wanted one of those chalices or whatever, and I never got it. So I need to hit up Bryce. I think he's still got like a
find some. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got a.
I bet Bryce has a box full of them, right? Like it's.
Oh yeah, I know he does.
Back room, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I love the way what you were talking about, Ken, kind of intersects with what Matt does for a living in terms of counseling college kids on what to major in, how to get, achieve their dreams through college. And just my only input was I can relate because I changed my major like a million times, and I wanted to I absolutely did not want to do what I ended up doing. And I loved it. I was trying not to, focus on art and design and all that because I was like, I'm never going to make any money doing this. So, but I love how I don't know if you know this about Matt, but he works in the college system and the university system, advising students and advising advisors at this point on advising students.
Yeah, because my work is mostly in retention now and helping students persist to graduation. So it's a lot of like marshaling the forces and figuring out how to use our our limited time and resources to help as many students graduate as possible. So it's still working with students directly, but more working with trying to get professors on board with stuff that I think of. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, but it's great when people find what they love and they end up actually loving it and doing it for a living.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a dream.
It's one of those things where it's like, I heard it somewhere. It's like you spend like a third of your life just at your job, and if you're miserable for a third of your life. Try and do something that at least gives you some sort of benefit or something to warm you from the inside, right? Not everyone can do the thing where it's like, okay, if I never had to work, need any money ever again, what would I do? And that's what your job should be. That's what that's like the stereotype, but like. I don't know. Like, I think you just have to have something that you're good at. You have to have some passion, something to kind of make you want to get out of bed and actually do it and commit to it and not just kind of go through the motions.
Yeah. That's sad.
So true. I mean, it's that Japanese concept of ikigai, where like your life's purpose is the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what helps society, and what you can make money doing. And for me, that's to teach is the thing. And so like my whole life has been in some form of teaching, even now. And I couldn't be happier. In fact, the job I have now is like the best job I ever had. I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Teaching's always been in my DNA. Like, every job I've had along the way, I've been the person who like tries to take really complicated things and help explain it to people or make it better or improve it. I worked at a medical college here for several years too, and worked with our academic affairs really closely on that type of stuff too, with like student engagement and so yeah, very interesting. We our paths have more cross than we maybe have thought, Matt.
So we really appreciate what you contribute in terms. I mean, we personally, Matt and I, but just like the community in general, to have somebody like you to explain these things, to be present. We can literally, it's like, okay, it's like it's Ken time now, Ken time of season, right? And for me personally, getting into the cap information and understanding even what it is and just even acknowledging it brings such a different dimension to being a fan of a team, because you're understanding like the business side of the sport and a different part of the sport that is so huge. I mean, it can make and break the team, how these decisions are made, these financial decisions. So I love how you are just there for us to provide these things. For those of us who have recognized that this is a part of the team and part of being a fan, if you want it to be, So there are a lot of people who turn off football at the end of the season and then don't tune in until they start playing again, and that's fine. No shade, but there's just so much more to sports than just the sport.
Exactly. And like I'm just this weird Venn diagram of a human, right? Where like my background and my interests and my sports, fandom kind of intersects, and it's really odd and interesting. And like I don't expect everyone to think that the cap is cool or fun or interesting.
Just
and they're, I tend to think, when some of the people, they say, okay, the cap is fake or the cap isn't real. Part of that, I think half of that, is a lot of like, I don't understand what the salary cap is, and that's fine. I don't understand it. Like, I'm not pretending to be a full expert on anything. Like, in no means do I pretend like I am the end all be all knowledge of it. Like, I'm learning something every day. I'm still talking to other folks around the league who have been doing this a lot longer, who know a lot more than I, and aspire to have their just knowledge at my fingertips. But for me, it's just, I find it interesting, and I try to help like view or my fandom kind of through that lens. I kind of regret it in a little bit of a way, because like I'm almost a little jaded sometimes with like, some of the things that are happening. Cause I'm like as if I wish I kind of had some more like blinders on at some points, and just can just go back to when I can just, I don't know. Because again, it's very business. Like I said, like we were talking before you came on, like people probably wouldn't know this about me, but like I'm just a big clown, ridiculous human being in real life. Like I'm 41 years old. I feel like I'm like, a teenager, like, but like when I talk about the Packers, it's business, like it's the cap, and I know I come off that way online. But again, it's that like, well, I'm talking about the business side and it's serious and that, but like, that's not how I am. And I am the guy who screams at the TV when the Packers are, doing well, or if they're messing up. But I have noticed it's gone down a few notches, because I'm like, yes, it's it comes a little, sometimes it's like golf. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, so because of that, it's always kind of there. It's like part of me now. And so, it's fun. It's interesting. And I appreciate those who want to learn more. And I totally get those who are like, not for me, man. over my head spreadsheets. That's lame. That's stupid. Totally get it. It is. But, for me, it's important. And it helps me, in my view, be like a more informed fan, at least from my perspective. And I don't no shade for those who don't want to look at it through that lens, because it's definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And the way you're talking about that makes me think of, a couple of things that Dusty Evely has said before. One is, for as good as he is at breaking stuff down, when he's watching the game live, he's screaming, he's hollering, he's in it. He's not thinking quite so analytically. It's like through the, careful work of breaking it down afterwards, that's where that comes in. And another thing that he mentioned is like, one of the best things any content creator can do is like find their niche within this, massive contentosphere we have around like anything, but Packers specifically, obviously. And so you're such a good example of that, Ken. Somebody who like found the thing that they're really excited about, are good at communicating about, and can be like, our person, our cap guy. And I think it's so cool because like my dad, for example, he watches every game. We text back and forth during it. It's awesome. He's back in Wisconsin. I'm going to see him this weekend, actually. And when the season's over, he's like on to the next thing, something else entirely. So I'll be like texting him Packers updates, because otherwise he wouldn't even catch any of this stuff. And so is my dad out here like, paying attention to the cap? No. And that's cool, because everyone can like fan the way they want to. And so for those of us who want to know more of that kind of, off-season interesting stuff, we appreciate that you're there to help us with that, because as John Meerdink always says, smarter Packers fans are better Packers fans. Better Packers fans are what we want to be.
Ooh, like that.
Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
One quick thought, just that for me personally, for anyone who's like wants to dabble in understanding a little bit more about how the team spends their money or can't spend their money, you definitely want to be following Ken. But for me, what it does is it helps my expectations as a fan. And I think if we manage our expectations with anything in life, we're going to be able to enjoy things, including buffering the losses as well. So for that,
I think that's a really good way of putting it. And I think that's kind of blending into what I was trying to say a little bit before, but maybe I couldn't find the words like you did, is expectations, because I guess that's what I miss a little bit, in my fandom, because now I know too much. I've seen too much. Right. And so I can't be like, sign everybody, trade for everybody, never gonna die. It's great. Like it's, but I it's just not gonna, I have that. I've seen too much, and I kind of temper it down, and I don't get to those highs as much as I maybe used to. And so, that's why I said, there's a little bit of that, there's a little bit of an anchor and burden, if you will, with kind of you doing some of this where, maybe that's why I come off sometimes, as business and serious, because I'm always thinking about this. Be like, they're probably not gonna be able to do the things that we want them to do. But like, I'll tell you what, when that Micah Parsons deal went down, like
elated.
I could not be contained. So nothing could hold me back there. That was awesome.
I was gonna ask you that very thing. I was like, so you have this well-developed lens, but they must surprise you sometimes. Like Micah Parsons must have been out of left field, and I mean that was amazing. Didn't see that coming.
It was out of left field, but I won't divulge sources. But I had someone kind of in my ear and in my messages basically giving me some play-by-play of like, dude, you don't realize it's like happening. It's happening. So remember how it was like, there's rumors. And then there wasn't, and then all of a sudden, like 2 days before, things were like, "Wait, what?" Like, people are starting to hear some stuff. I was hearing some stuff, and I was like told, like, this is happening. Like, people at 1265 like got called back into the office, like they are working on something, and they were all home for the night, and like after like a busy time, and like they're working on a deal. I'm like, it has to be for Parsons, and then the next day, boom. So
it was so great. It was so great. Yeah, I definitely had my eye on that. I fancy myself of an intuitive person. I kind of like feel like things are gonna happen. And I was like, that. I thought that might happen. It was so great.
It was meant to be.
I'm thinking a good hashtag for you would be the man who knows too much.
Oh no. I'm see, like, a thing about me too is like I don't like talking about myself with this stuff. It's funny, like so it's weird. Like I like with my family or friends or whatever. Like I'll tell you what, I did get there's a guy I was at his wedding, and he's the first person who, like, when we were at a concert together. I was at a concert with my wife. She ran into a old coworker. So yeah, I want to introduce you to my boyfriend. Oh, that's Ken. You know, what do you do? Oh, and then she's like, oh yeah, he does like a podcast and like talks about the Packers. And the guy's like, you're Ken Ingalls? I was like, I like wanted to melt through the floor, so right? Like some people be like, that's a cool moment. I wanted to get out of there. I feel so, I don't know. I could talk about other people and give praise and whatever. That's something I struggle with. So like when you say them, like, I don't know. It's just not. Maybe I need to get this
Wisconsin trait for sure.
It is.
Modesty. Yeah. It's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, I don't like. Some people, I'll go and do the Packers God, right, Johnny, earlier. I'm like, oh wow, like I would never dream of calling myself that, but I appreciate when people say that. So
sure. Now you definitely have helped a lot of people understand a lot of things and have a deeper appreciation for their team. I mean, that's a big deal. So I won't embarrass you any further.
No, I think that I've mentioned. Sorry, go ahead, guys.
I
said that's what I'm here for. Let me have it. Embarrass me.
Okay. All right, good. So a thing that I've talked about a lot in this podcast is that I think over time I've come to believe that podcasts and writing anything about a team is really centered around like our desire to know what's going to happen in a planet in a lifetime where we can't really always know, especially because sports can be so unpredictable. So a lot of hot takes are because like you want to know what is it, what are people thinking, what's going to happen to the team. You hear people giving these takes, like, okay, that gives you some comfort to have some sense of it. And so this is where I think having a person to go to who can say, well, these are the numbers. So like, yeah, don't get your hopes up too crazy for some wild trade you might want to have happen. And that's, I think it's a valuable service, anytime we can have somebody who can provide a, well-informed, reasoned opinion about what's happening, I think is super valuable. I mean, I realized like during the season, the episodes after a game were like, okay, that's cool, but I want to know what people are thinking about. Like, what's the offense going to do? What's the defense going to do? What's going to happen in the next game? Like, I want to like, drink that in. So I have less, I think, anxiety about the game as it approaches,
Definitely.
Yeah. There's a reason why like sports radio on Mondays is like the highest volume days, or like for those who have like YouTube, like the Monday postings. Cause like, I think fans want therapy, good, bad, or indifferent based off of the result of the game. They want to ride that wave together, or if things are bad, they want to figure out how it's going to get better on the other side.
Yeah.
I think that's just our nature,
Absolutely.
And like to your point, like the cap kind of offers some predictability and some like stability to this wild game that we all love.
Yeah. So true.
The framework. Yeah.
So there's a thing you said before. I want to tie a thread here to it, Ken. You mentioned what people want to commiserate together, and that's part of the great or ride the wave. Either way, that's a great part about how we build community. Around shared interest, like sports, like Packers. I want to tie that back to, you mentioned Vic Ketchman, who I think I love that guy. For those who don't know, he was kind of like Wes and Spoff before they were there, basically, because he wrote, like, he did all the journalism. He did the Ask Vic column, which became the Insider Inbox later. And part of the reason why I liked him so much is because he kept it super real, and he was kind of sarcastic and snarky in a way that I thought was really funny and entertaining.
Yeah.
But the Ask Vic like mailbag, which he would sometimes do twice a day, like he was putting work into it. It came about because after the 2014 NFC Championship game, that of course is a scar for all of us Packers fans, people were writing to me. He's like, let's just, you know what? I'm just going to take your questions. Let's start like doing this. And it became Ask Vic, which became Insider Inbox, and so we have him to thank for that.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, Vic I loved him too, right? You either loved him or you hated him, because again, he was not a Packers fan, and he would call it like it was, and he would be very bold and blunt and be like, things aren't good enough, they're not good enough at this, like, and Packers sometimes didn't want to hear it, right? It was a bad loss, and he's like telling you, yeah, they deserved it and here's why. And like, people want to hear that on a Monday, but like, it was refreshing. Yes. I loved it. So
whatever happened to him? Did he retire or move on?
He retired from the Packers. I don't know if it was, an official retirement, or, you're gone and we're going to call it. I don't know. But I actually stumbled upon, I kid you not, years later, he was still doing Ask Vic on his own personal.
Cool.
And then I was like, no way. And he kept doing it, and he kept it up. And then one day he said, okay, I'm done. I'm finally retired. This is my last one. And he hasn't posted since. But for me, it was kind of cool, because I had started like doing, talking about the cap and stuff. And I saw him that he was still doing it. I'd somehow lost it. And it was kind of nostalgic, kind of reading it again, and, having his little quirks. And he had a very, very unique style.
Oh, wow.
And would have very unique references that he would always bring up. And so it's kind of fun to read that, a few more times before he hung it up for good. And, I think he's retired in Florida. So
I believe that's true.
I am going to look into this dude. This was before my time as a football fan. Even though I grew up in Wisconsin and my entire family was all about the Packers, and I've got stories, but I just was not interested until I was. And then I'm like, I'm very interested. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Packers are a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, I think I started, it was like, okay, I think I'm going to try and understand this football thing. The way I do things is I like to understand things, and then I get into them for the most part. I will say I don't understand a lot of things about the Olympics, and I really got into the Olympics, but that was just like, I need to be brain dead for a while, because I was working on something else for the last couple of months. So it's just like a great release. But
the Olympics are the perfect example, right? Like, I don't know many people who watch curling on a regular basis, but I'll tell you what, when curling's on there, like, I know all the strategy, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in it to win it. And the Olympics, that is such a fantastic example.
Yeah. I was bound and determined to watch some curling. I still haven't done it. Maybe in 4 more years I'll try. But I did like figure skating, and there were personal reasons I couldn't deal with skiing for many years because of an accident and stuff. But now this year I was like really into the skiing and the snowboarding, and I'm not quite finished. I've got a lot to replay because I had to take I know nothing. Like, in fact, interesting you bringing these topics up, both of you, because one of the things, and I love Tara and Johnny in their commentation during the figure skating, but it's like, shh, be quiet, I'm trying to watch.
I know. It's like, this is interesting, but man, it just you're ruining the moment.
Yes, usually I need more information, and that's how I process things, but sometimes not so much. And I am an artist and a designer, and so maybe it's just like some things are art, and you don't like. I get that it's also a sport, obviously, but yeah. So it's interesting we're talking about these topics. So. Okay, Ken. One last question.
Sorry. Just Dawn, before we move on, I'm sorry, but sorry to stop you there. One last thing I want to say about the Olympics. Okay. My favorite thing about the Olympics isn't just the stories or the excitement or the whatever else. My favorite thing about the Olympics is that I think that we, for better and for worse, have lost the sense of a monoculture in our country. We're not all watching the same shows on a Thursday night. People aren't tuning in for TGIF on Fridays. But when we have the Olympics, everyone's watching the Olympics, and so you have this thing that all of a sudden we can talk about. We're all kind of going through, and it gives you this weird sort of like USA sort of, like pride in the country when it happens. Like I never hate Canada as much as I do during the Winter Olympics, and I never do outside of those 2 weeks, whatever. So I love that monoculture aspect to the Olympics, and I always miss it after it's over.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It just kind of galvanizes everybody together, right? Because man, what a reference to a TGIF. Like, absolutely, you know what I mean? Like people, young kids to do. Oh God, I'm so old, but like they don't understand like what it was like to be like, no, I need to be home to watch these shows. You don't like, or the okay, I have to go to the bathroom, but I have to like just. I have to race to the bathroom and get back because I've got 2 minutes before it comes back on. There was no pausing TV.
No pausing, right?
Yeah. But to your point, it brought everyone and then that's what everyone talked about.
So we're talking about.
It's fantastic.
Exactly.
I will say, I don't get into the nationalism. That's one of the reasons I don't like the Olympics. Are like, okay. I was all team Japan on a lot of stuff like snowboarding. I'm sorry, I'm going to go with the ones that I like personally. Figure skating, team Japan. I just fell in love with so many of them. But one of the unifying things I experienced, which was really special, is I synchronized with my niece who's on the East Coast, and she's going through chemo and like really man dealing with a life, and she's very young, and we ended up realizing, okay, we were talking about, we have certain topics that we're always talking about daily, but then I'm like, wait, I'm so far behind, and she's like, well, you're 3 hours later, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fix this. And so I spent so much time like watching Olympics during the day with my niece. It was something just immeasurably important to both of us. It was super delightful. Yeah. I know she was super like USA and all that, but I'm like, I'm sorry, but I really like this Japanese skater. I mean, I like it because you fall in love with different cultures and you get to see, all of that. So I even watched the opening ceremony. I never like do that, but I did, and I think I watched it in Paris too, because of course, Paris. So
yeah, I like that one.
It was fun. I really enjoyed it. The Italian one too, and all the references to fashion, which we're both interested in, and that kind of thing. So
because the announcer's always like in the background, because if I always find it interesting where it's like, okay, and this right here represents this age, and they go into like, it's like, oh, okay, so you kind of understand, but it was very interesting with some of that, like the music and stuff with the like the musical notes jumping around and stuff.
Exactly.
On the opening ceremony. It was really cool.
Yeah,
I like that stage that they did.
My niece and I take that commentary like to a very different level with our conversations, because we're both art historians and music, so it's just like, oh, and this is the influence. So it was fun. It was really fun experience, shared experience, not so much nationalism, but shared experience for sure, unifying. I love that point, Matt. So Ken, one more interview question before we get on to our superlatives. I love that we're just chatting away.
Yeah,
okay, I love this. Because content creators do so much, and we just never get to see their personal side. So we really appreciate when you decided to come on. So name one thing you love most about our online Packer community, and one thing you would change if you had the power to change it.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I love this like overall like Packers community. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit too. Like everyone is just so like rabid and hungry for like knowledge and to understand and want more, and like just to learn everything about this team. And as Packer fans, we bleed, green and gold, and it's wild. Like again, I talk about football accounting, and yet people want to know more. Like they're begging for more. For years, people are like, Ken, when are you going to start YouTube? Like I started a YouTube a week ago because people want me to be able to spend more than 100 and whatever 60 characters on Twitter or whatever, then I can like try and get into things. So like spending 20 minutes on like a player, like it's people, and people want to know. Like that's crazy. It's football accounting, and there's an audience for it. Yeah, one of the coolest comments that I got, like after starting in YouTube, I wrote down here is they wrote, "There are moments in my life where I think, wow, I'm so happy I learned English. This is one of them." And it's from someone in Brazil.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And like is a comment to like when I was like, "Hey, I have this YouTube. What do you think?" And like that was their response. I'm like,
wow.
that's like I'm talking about the nerdiest aspect of the sport, like objectively. And like I'm so glad I learned English so I can help, so I can understand it. That's what I love. It's like everyone just wants, no matter what it is about the team, there's someone out there who just wants to learn more and so fan, be a better fan or be more engaged, or like feel like they have a better idea of what's going on.
Wow.
Something I wish I could change. Oh man. I had to think about this one, but a few weeks ago, okay. I don't, in my algorithm on Twitter, X, whatever, I don't get a lot of Bears comments or fans, whatever. Maybe I've just fine-tuned the algorithm or whatever.
Congratulations.
Right. Yeah. But okay, so maybe but like I feel that maybe as a collective unit that Packer fans tend to think or share a lot more about what Bears fans are talking about with their team. And Bears fans are going to Bear fan by like, I don't see Bears stuff unless Packer people are posting it or talking about it, right? Like, here's some wild stuff this person said. Isn't that crazy? I'm like, well, I only saw it because you showed it to me. So it's like, yeah. So I don't know. If I could like wave a magic wand or whatever, or, maybe tone down the how much should we care about what the Bears are saying,
especially the Bears,
the Packers? Let's just turn it down like 10% or a notch or two on the dial, because
that's a good
I don't know. Like, I'm gonna say some wild stuff about the Bears. I don't expect them to like want to talk to me about it. I'm not interested in what the Bears have to say about this. I love the rivalry, right?
Yeah.
I love it. I love like what Ben Johnson's doing, right? With his stuff with LaFleur, like I might be in the minority. I love it. Like the Packers and the Bears shouldn't like each other. Let's get back to that old school. And he's really embracing it. I'm all for that. Like I'm not interested in what the Bears have to say. If Ben Johnson wants to, talk about, beating the Packers, great. Well, then now we got to go beat the Bears. So then we can say the same things back. It's not like, he was mean to us on the field or he didn't shake our hand. I don't care. So I don't want to hear about it. I follow the Packers people. Packers people, stop posting what the Bears are doing. I don't care.
Amen.
Totally. So Ken, every single person we've had on the show has said something different for that second part of the question, and that's another new take. I love it.
A new one, yeah.
Especially because caring too much about the other team's stuff like that, I think is like the very hallmark of like little brother energy, which is something that has been like a very Bears thing to have, that little brother energy. I think even Ben Johnson, the way he like has been talking about stuff since he got in the job with his it's been nice to like beat Matt LaFleur twice a year. Cringe smile. Like that's like little brother energy, and that has not really been the Packers fandom for as long as I've been really caring
most of our lifetimes. Right. Not just Bears, but excuse me, Vikings and Lions too. I mean, we don't care what you have to say, or I mean, if I choose to look at what another team is doing, it's because it's my choice and it's delightful, but I'm not going to be, and just like anything, it is going to give me more dimension to what's going to happen for the next season. So when I watch those games, I understand who the players are, that kind of thing. I don't care what the fans think. And what are you doing on my page, in my comments? Like, who are you and why are you here?
But there's like this handful of welcome outliers, like Paul Farrington, him talking about the Vikings, and like when he and Andy talk about stuff, it's like, okay, this is cool. I like hearing about the Vikings in this very specific like context.
Yeah. I'm just I guess when I talk about this, it's more of like the Bears fan XYZ says Caleb Williams is so much better than Jordan Love, and then it like someone retweets it and like it's like, you're crazy. It's like Packers fans say weird stuff too all the time, but like I don't know. I just feel I I feel like we're talking too much about the Bears sometimes, and maybe it helps when it's slow or whatever, and you find something you want to talk about it. But like, I don't know, I
totally agree.
To me, it feels like, okay, I got off Twitter because I didn't want to see a lot of the political junk in the, all of it. And I don't want to make a political statement. But so then when I go over to Blue Sky to like avoid that algorithm, start fresh, I don't want to see screenshots of what's on Twitter. Like that's kind of the same equivalency. Like that's why I'm here. I'm not interested in that. I'm a Packers fan. Yeah, so I get that. That's a great one, Ken. I really like that one.
I didn't know how you'd feel about that one. So there we go.
We love it. You know what? Anything, we try to. I don't think we've ever had anyone disappoint us, but even if we did, I don't think we would tell you.
Fair enough.
So it was a good one. See you later. Really good. Yeah.
And I feel badly that we're like ignoring our chat. So chats, we appreciate you over there. I hope you're enjoying this. And if you have any questions for Ken, please drop them. Because hopefully Matt's keeping an eye on it. So
there's one actually question we could throw in here real fast.
Okay.
If you guys don't mind. So thank you, Bob Dylan 2752 says, Ken, I didn't know if you gain a comp pick but sign a big contract, you forfeit that comp pick. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
wait, say that one again. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, basically, if you have a comp pick, but then you sign somebody big, do you lose the comp pick? Is kind of what they're asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how it works is, this is another thing I just love about the NFL and like the parity. Like every system in the NFL is like designed to like bring everyone back to like 500, 8-8, right? Like first order draft and having a salary cap and comp picks and things like this. And the schedule, you play people at similar strength. Like I just love that about the NFL. And the comp pick is a very interesting one. So if you have players that are going to be leaving your team as unrestricted free agents, meaning that they've got more than they have 4 or more accrued seasons, which I think is playing 6 games, or like there's certain, like if you could be on certain reserve lists or whatever, but just for the most part, if you're on the team and playing and healthy, you're going to get an accrued season. If you've got more than 4 years and you leave the team, you are now an unrestricted free agent. If another team then signs that player away from you, so like let's look at Malik Willis, for example. Right, he's going to be probably the number like top 2, 3, or 5 player in free agency. When he signs, he's going to get a massive deal. And the way it'll work out is the Packers will be rewarded probably with a 3rd round draft pick in 2027.
Right.
It's always like a year after.
Right.
So it's not the immediate draft. But it's an offset. So it's a net gains and losses. So then if the Packers were to then go and sign a similar caliber player, it would offset. So there's on overthecap.com website, they do a fantastic job showing all this. Nick over there like really lays it out. He knows it better than anyone. And it's like a ranking system, right? You signed these players, ding, 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 and you lost these, and they like line up. Like it's based off of like salary, and then there's some like play time and other things. So that's an interesting kind of caveat for this upcoming kind of free agency period that the Packers are in. So let's say that the Packers get a 3rd round pick for Willis and a 3rd round pick for Rasheed Walker, right? Those are probably going to be their 2 biggest free agents that are likely on their way out. So let's say the Packers go after Linderbaum, right? The center. He's probably going to get a massive contract.
Yeah.
So not only do the Packers need to think about that massive contract and how do they make the math work and the contract work and all the things, but another consideration is he's also potentially sacrificing a 3rd round pick, right, on top of it. So it's like you're signing the player and getting rid of a high pick. So that's the real challenge that the Packers are going to be in this offseason. They have like 5 or 6 players who can realistically probably return compensatory picks. They can only get a maximum of 4. So like, how do they math it? Okay, are they going to say goodbye to 6 guys and sign maybe 2 so they can keep their 4? I think that the Packers want to keep all their picks.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want. Again, they just gave up 2 picks for Micah Parsons. They've got another pick, I forget, in the future that they don't have for one of the players. I think they don't have a 6th round in 2027 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
Who's going to want to kind of recoup some of the value with the Parsons deal. I think he's going to target trying to get 4. So, but we'll see. It has to be worth it, right? Because think about it. So let's say like Aaron Banks, right? Everyone loves to circle that one. So let's say you sign another big contract like Aaron Banks. So not only are you on the hope that that player lives up to that contract, but then you have this anchor of, and it also maybe we gave up a 3rd or 4th round pick too. Right. It makes it that much worse if it doesn't pan out. So great question. If you want to like really kind of see the visuals, I suggest you go to Over the Cap, and there's like in their draft section, you look at like comp calculator or whatever, and it's literally just like a this person cancels out this person because you signed this person, but this person left, and they like cross it off. It's really well done.
Yeah, it's a great website. So I think you mentioned there are like 5 that could become agents this coming season. But most people are only talking about 1 or 2. And so you think that generally speaking, Gutekunst, and rightfully, I mean, I'm not questioning this, is trying to limit the, IOUs, the debt for the future by keeping some of those, more of those than not, shall we say? Is that kind of your general consensus? And do you have another weird question? I'm such a geek.
No.
Who gets to see these contracts? Are they like, can you look at these like we're always talking about these contacts and all these like modifications to the contracts and all these provisions in this contract, but like where's the contracts? Where are they?
They're out there. They're not like
they're not easy to find. I've been looking.
I could be able to Google them, but I've made some friends along the way who've been able to kind of help out. Like I have Jordan Love's signed contract on my desktop on my computer, right?
Okay.
It's got his signature, it's got Russ Ball's signature. Like I know that contract inside and out. I've probably read it like 20 times. Like
because it's not just math, it's legal stuff too. And so it's really interesting. Yeah.
It's the number of appearances that he is mandated to do, for how many jerseys he has to sign for the year for the Packers that the Packers can then give out at charity events.
Yeah.
Right? It's all in there. But like for the most part, like I will just say this, like it seems most of the any type of announcement that you get about, X player signed for this, 95+% of the time, it's someone's agent trying to get that news out there, right? Because they want to brag, they want whatever. And so, agents are happy to kind of give that information out.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I think that I don't typically think of the comp pick as being part of the math of the whole thing. So it's like, I hadn't really considered that. So that's good perspective. But the thing you're saying there kind of about like in Jordan Love's contract about, so many jerseys to sign, so many public appearances, I had no idea that was the kind of stuff you could find in a contract. And so that makes me wonder, like when it seems like it's taking a long time for a contract to be hammered out, is it sometimes do you think not just like the dollars and cents, but it's also like all that other extra stuff that they're kind of debating or?
I tend to think it's a lot of it's cash. Like how quickly can they get cash in the first 2 years is like the big thing. And then like what are, at what point does the team gain leverage or the player gain leverage, and like how can you tug of war that? Right. So for instance, a good example might be like, look what we saw last year with Jair Alexander, for instance, right? Like it was, in my opinion, like a done deal. Like the Packers are going to release Jair Alexander. There was no way in my mind he was going to remain on the team, right? Gutekunst thought he could trade him. I thought he was nuts. but he held on to him and he held on to him. And he was like, it wasn't until like June or July when they finally said, hey, I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. And they just, they ended up cutting him then. Mm-hmm. Well, he had no more like mechanisms in his deal to force an earlier kind of decision. So a lot of these players you'll hear about now that have like these massive roster bonuses, and Jair, trust me, had many of these earlier on in his contract, where you have a decision at like the third day of the league year. So if we think about it from a 2026 perspective, the start of the NFL calendar, if you will, is March 11th. It's a Wednesday.
Okay.
That's when free agency starts. Mm-hmm. That's when teams are allowed to trade again. Because remember, we're past the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. So that deadline is still in existence until March 11th. Then it's, now you can trade players again. That's also when you need to be cap compliant. The Packers really like to put in like day 3 of the league year. So the 11th is day 1. So 11th, 12th, 13th. Friday the 13th, there's a lot of roster bonuses due.
Mm-hmm.
So the Packers will have to make a lot of their decisions on the players that have those bonuses before they trigger. So if they want to release a player or trade a player or not have to pay it, it'd have to be before then. If they're on the roster, then it's no matter what, the Packers are on the hook for that money and that amount. So I think that so going back to what I said, it's when does that power shift kind of happen between the player and the team? I think that's a lot that kind of goes into the contracts, because Jair, he had nothing. He just he had nothing to force the Packers' hands. And in my opinion, Brian Gutekunst is being very stubborn, really trying to get something for him, even though in my mind there was no trade value, and it ended up kind of being the case. But a guy like Aaron Banks, as we talked about, Nate Hobbs, these guys have massive, massive bonuses. So, we talk about what are they going to do? Well, they're going to have a pretty good idea what they're going to do, by the time free agency, in the league year starts, because they can't start thinking about it then. They're they're going to have to make some quick decisions.
Right. And in the end, Gutekunst didn't really lose out by holding out with Jair, because there was nothing to lose by.
Right. Yeah. From the Packers' perspective, it was great. From Jair's perspective, it was probably a nightmare. The guy's thinking release me or do something. Let me go find another team that, while they still have money to spend. Right. Because a lot of times by the time June comes around, free agency's done. Heck, by the time free agency starts, free agency's done, because all these deals.
Right.
If we're being really honest, they're working on them now at the combine.
Yeah.
And then they'll be announced at the start of the league tampering period. It's always wild to me that 10 minutes after the start of the legal tampering period, there's an announcement of, X player just signed a, 200 something million contract. Like, oh, okay. That's weird. You guys got that done in 10 minutes. Everyone, it's the worst, it's the worst lie that we all tell ourselves. Oh yeah. But I think that's kind of where it goes in. There's a lot of it's boilerplate language. The Packers include stuff like automatic conversions. So you hear me talk about restructures a lot, where we just take money and we just say, okay, that's not going to be a roster bonus. We're just going to call it a signing bonus. And then it literally changes nothing. Their paychecks are exactly the same every single week, regardless. But the accountants get to call it something else. And then, so for cap purposes, it's the future. That language is boilerplate. It's in every contract. That's a veteran deal. So it's just kind of oh, do we need to include that? Yep. Insert, copy, paste type thing.
Right.
But really, at the end of the day, it's all about money. How quickly can they get their guaranteed money?
Makes sense.
And then when do we, at some point, does the player have all the leverage can the Packers gain some of that back?
So how tight are things really this season?
Not as bad as what we saw in 21, 22, 23. Those are bad. Those are really bad.
Yeah.
22 really should have been their really bad year. 23 as well. They just had some really good drafts that really saved them.
Yeah.
I was expecting a lot worse, to be honest. But no, they're okay. If you were to look right now, on like Over the Cap or Spotrac, like you would see that the Packers are like, depending on where you look, like $1.5 million, $2 million, like over the cap.
Mhm.
And I agree, like with that number, more or less. You know, I've got differences, and you know, kind of get into that if we want. But really, then like I like to go further. Like I don't find a lot of value in like going to that site right now and looking at that number and circling it and saying this is how much cap space they have, because I know that there are so many bills that are left to be paid, right? You know, just because you have a $1,000 in your bank account at the start of the month doesn't mean you're going to have it, you know, at the end of the month when you're going to pay all your groceries and rent and all the things, right? So like I'm accounting for those type of things. Like we all know the draft is coming. There are some exclusive rights guys that only the Packers can bring back if they choose to, and they will. They're like Bo Melton, like they love Bo Melton. So Bo Melton's obviously coming back. Like those guys aren't in the numbers yet, but I know they will be. So like I'm factoring that in. Eventually, when we get to the like regular season, the practice squad will be here. Those guys, while they don't make the crazy money that, you know, the active roster guys do, collectively for the season, it's like $4 million minimum for like the cheapest players. So like that's $4 million you can't just spend because, you know, on the spread, on the, you know, you look at the number, oh, they got this much, they can spend it. Well, no. There's other things like that too. Like if I include everything, like right now today with like players that they have and like the draft and some other basic things and like creating a little bit of a rainy day fund, I have them at like 19 million effectively over today, which sounds like a big number. That's like nothing compared to what it was.
Right.
Like when I, you know, 22, 23, I was talking like they need to restructure every single veteran you can imagine, make some cuts, push it all out, and then hopefully they can compete, right? I remember in 22, their like biggest free agent signing, I think, was like with John Fitzpatrick or something for like 1.2. No. And like Matt, like the long snapper, Ozark.
Yeah.
He was their biggest free agent like move, and he didn't even make the initial 53 because they cut him so that they could have someone take his spot, and then they signed him the next day. That was their big spend. Like that was bad. That was bad.
It was tough.
We're not bad. Like we got some things we got to massage. The only player that's actually on their roster right now that has any of these restructures that were done solely for cap purposes is Rashawn Gary. He's all that's left.
Yeah.
Like Jair left last year. He had a ton of those, like, you know, kick the can. And then we got, you know, same with Kenny Clark as well. We got both of those guys left last year. So Gary's the only one left on the books. They'll, in my opinion, they're going to move on from him.
Yeah.
So they'll have a clean slate until Jordan Love's contract kicks in.
Right.
That's a whole conversation. But then I think they're gonna start doing some restructures again. I think right now, though, the number I like to talk about is if they get rid of Jenkins and they get rid of Rashawn Gary as like their two remaining moves of like guys that are to kind of, you know, they're not gonna cap purposes and performance reasons aren't going to be here, in my opinion. And let's say they keep around Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, and Devontae Wyatt on extensions. Young guys who, in my opinion, are all deserving to kind of stick around a little bit longer. Wyatt will actually free up a little bit of money because he's on a $13 million guaranteed fifth-year option. That's all base salary. It all hits this year. There's no future shenanigans with that. They'll want to extend him just so they can push that out. Right? Okay. So he'll actually save money. His cap number is $13 million. So if they could sign him to a deal, it can probably get cut in half or so. But Watson and Kraft, I think, are going to get deals too. Their cap numbers will go up. So all that together, Jenkins, Gary, Kraft, Watson, Wyatt, along with all the rainy day fund and draft and things, I get them at $7 million of space.
Okay.
Which is really one big deal. Like, big deal. Like, look at Micah Parsons. he's making 46. He was the highest paid non quarterback in the league when he signed his deal. His cap hit was less than $10 million. Like,
right,
they can do whatever they want and deal with it later. Like, so $7 million, that's basically any player you can imagine. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
But that's one player.
Right.
So is that player like Quay Walker? Is it an outside center? Is it a nose tackle? Is it, you name it? Like, it could be anything. I think they're going to want more than that, and they're going to do some other things. I think they're going to play around with some other veteran contracts. It really depends on, they can pick and choose though, which is nice. Previous years, they really couldn't pick and choose. They had to, It's like, oh, you're a veteran with a roster bonus and not making the minimum salary, pencil it in. Like, you're getting restructured. We'll deal with you later when it comes out the bill. Like Preston Smith, his deal got hit every single year. Like, yep, push it out, push it out.
Yeah.
Those type of things. Like, but they can pick and choose where they want to kind of spread the pain. Or if there's a guy that they're like, I don't know if he's going to be around next year. Maybe they don't touch him, but then they'll touch Xavier McKinney, who I don't think they have any plans of moving off his contract early.
Yeah.
Or Jordan Love, things like that. But they can sign whoever they want, but it all comes with costs, right? There's no, I like to say, there's no cap alchemy, right? We're not creating lead into gold here and like something from nothing. Like, every dollar that they save by doing a contract restructure just means it's on a credit card and you're going to get the bill next month or next year, in terms of cap purposes, right? So it's a balance. I'm very curious. I think who they don't restructure is going to be more of a telling kind of storyline than who they do.
Yeah. So, Ken, as somebody who knows this stuff inside and out, do you have any sort of best guess, a well-informed guess about how much of a splash they might try to make with free agency, big or small of a splash? Of course, like, do you think a Tyler Linderbaum is like in our cards at all, for example?
I think he needs to get the free agency first.
Sure.
I don't know. I doubt the Ravens put a franchise tag on him. Maybe they do, though. It's tough because the franchise tag isn't position specific. It is offensive line. And so the really big left tackles, like the guys who are making the big bucks, it averages like the top salaries there. And so in order for them to tag him, he'd be tagged like basically at the most premium position on the line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But again, he's probably gonna make that. So like, gut feeling says no, they wouldn't. But then part of me is like, well, maybe if they really want him, or he can also negotiate a deal with the Ravens up until free agency. Like, that's another thing. Like, there's a lot of lists out there and ranking. Oh, who are the top free agents? Who are the top? Like, a lot of those guys, a lot of those guys aren't going to even be available. Like, the franchise tag window, I forget when it ends. It's like, I think there's like a total of 2 weeks that they can do, and we're already in the middle of it. But they typically don't announce those until 1 or 2 days before or the day of. So that's the kind of the first wave, and then you've got another wave of teams who are trying to sign their own guys. I look at like the Packers, right? Sean Ryan might be a guy that the Packers are interested in keeping around. Like, he might be on some teams or some other fans list. Like, Sean Ryan, he can maybe be our center or guard. Well, he might not even make it to get that far. So I tend, like, it's tough because I know that that's what everyone's talking about right now. Like, who can they sign? Like, what are the names? Give me a name. Give me a name. It's like, I haven't even like really looked at the names because that list is going to be so dramatically different. Plus, we're now starting to see players get cut. I think there were like 2 veteran centers that were cut in the past like 2 days who are like 28, 29 years old, who might kind of be, an interest of the Packers. And that is interesting because if you're cut, it doesn't go against that comp formula that we talked about. The contract has to expire.
Okay.
So you have to be, so if you're cut, you're not an unrestricted free agent. You're a street free agent. And street free agents don't factor into that formula. Because you're just, you were discarded and another team kind of picked you up. And so you're only rewarded in that formula for contracts that in theory, you're supposed to want to bring all your guys back, and and through it's unfortunate we're able to they lost, and then that's why the league rewards you with these picks. It's kind of the thought. But if you on your own decide we don't want that player, then they say we're not going to reward you for actively choosing not to keep that guy around.
That makes sense. Okay.
So that's where I think things can get real spicy. If there is if there are guys who are released for cap purposes or other reasons, it doesn't matter the reason, from other teams, and they're straight up released, it happens all the time. Or you see guys like so-and-so has sought permission from the team or granted permission from the team to seek a trade, is like agent speak for in a week they're going to get cut. And so those are the type of guys that I think if there's someone who's cut or not that is going to be a potential star, I think that was where Goody could shine. And then you're not giving up that additional pick to sign the player.
Yeah.
But I tend to think that they're going to want all four. We're going to try and get as close to 4 as possible. Yeah. I don't think they're going to actively be like, nah, we're not even going to talk to the guy because I'd rather have that 6th round pick. I don't think, but I think it definitely goes into the calculus. I do tend to think that they are going to be less active than maybe what we saw the last 2 years, right? We saw McKinney and Jacobs 2 years ago. So Hobbs and Banks. I don't know if we're going to see 2 legit unrestricted free agent type signings that would go against the comp pick formula this year. Maybe I could be wrong. I think they've got 2 paths. They can either say, the Rams F them picks and we're just gonna do it. And we don't care about the comp picks. Or they're gonna be a little picky and choosy. In the past couple of years, though, remember they had so many extra picks with Rodgers. They had so many picks with Devontae being traded. That they're okay maybe losing a 5th round comp pick to sign Josh Jacobs or whatever, because they had so many picks in the first 2 days. Now it's they don't pick until 54 is it in 26? They're going to have to work some of that back of cap or back of draft magic that Goody's been kind of known for. But we don't talk about round 3. We don't.
Thank goodness he's so good at the later round stuff. He really is impressive there. Some of the, we can question some of the 1st round picks, of course, but his day 3 stuff, amazing.
And Joe's weighing in on this. He says, I think Jacobs gets a restructure. Maybe McKinney. I think Sean could be gone. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Jacobs and McKinney are
in
decent bets. I think McKinney more than Jacobs. I'm curious. Let me back up. I heard a lot earlier in this offseason about, maybe the Packers need to move on from Jacobs, or maybe they need to offer, he needs to do a pay cut. And I disagree. And I go back to the last pay cut that we had at running back, and that was with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was making $16 million the year that they approached him for a pay cut. And he went from 16 down to 11. So a $5 million pay cut. Jacobs now this year is making 11.5. Right. So he's basically at that level of a post Aaron Jones pay cut. But they ask him to do a lot more than what they asked Aaron Jones, in my opinion. So I don't really think they have much ground to stand on. Also, I'm of the opinion where if you're going to ask a player to take a pay cut, you as an organization need to be able to say, okay, we're going to cut you if you say no. And I don't think the Packers can do that.
Right.
Their backup right now has missed 35 of 36 games.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
There's no one else really, there. There's some practice squad guys that got signed, and then what is it? Wilson and Brooks.
Mhm.
They're restricted guys. They might be back, but again, they're not in the long-term plans. I think that the Packers are going to do one more year with Jacobs, and then maybe start thinking about moving on next year, which is why I think they look at a running back maybe a little bit earlier than some people might expect them to in the draft to kind of prepare for that. I think that they like Lloyd a lot, but he needs to actually play the game.
Right.
Right. But we'll see. So I'm a little hesitant on Jacobs because, again, if you restructure him, let's say you save looking at my thing here, they could save between like $4 or $7 million, 4 to 7, depending on how hard they pull the restructure lever. If you save, 7, that means if you move on from him next year, it's going to cost you an additional 7.
Right. Exactly.
So again, nothing's free.
Right.
So are they going to actively make things more difficult on themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I think they said they're going to pick and choose. So if they don't restructure Jacobs, that tells me, they might be moving on from him. But if they do, maybe I'm like, they think he's got 2 more years left in the tank. Who knows? Because again, they don't have to do everybody. And there's a lot of break glass in case of emergency type guys too, that they don't need to make the cap space. But if there's like another, holy cow, we have another Micah Parsons type scenario, we need to free up cap space, they can do that. But they're by no means they're not going to restructure guys just to get cap space and do nothing with it.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do and who they do it with.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are jumping on the Jacobs thing, not because of understanding the financial part of it as much, but just performance wise. But a lot of the lack of performance, if you want to call it that, has to do with the O-line. And so, I think that is where I think, obviously, if I can see it, anybody can see it because I don't know anything.
There's a lot of that going around.
I would think the Packers,
Green Bay, where the fans have been very keen. I feel like this past year, especially, being like, why is that happening? If I know it's happening, then a NFL defensive coordinator can see it too, or they should. Otherwise, they're not very good at their job. I think there's just been a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Where coach the team. I think Aaron Nagler says that a lot. Coach the team you have, not the team you want.
Yes.
And so if you're not able to run the ball, maybe we don't continue to run the ball.
Oh my God. Here.
All right, guys. Well, I think maybe, just maybe, it's time for this week's superlatives.
It doesn't even matter how clearly you telegraphed that, how much you wound up for that, Dawn. Even still,
it still
gets
funny.
me every time. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love it.
Excuse me. I have developed a little bit of a cough, so I'm going to let you guys start. So, Ken, did you bring any shout outs this week for anything that we need to be taken in recently that came out, or even something old and oldie but goodie that you might want to mention for our guests?
I guess I want to give an overall shout out. And so if we're talking superlatives, this would be the best if I could only follow one Packers content creator from now until forever. Yeah, I can only choose one flavor. That would be Justice Mosqueda. Or Justice Moscapo, as Rob Demoski. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Woof.
Yeah, everything that I really appreciate the time and the effort and the thoughtfulness that he puts into everything. I think he's also does a really good job of taking his personal fandom sometimes out and talking about stuff kind of like I do, in terms of stuff that no one else might think about, but he's gonna see something and really get into the details and everyone else is watching The Matrix and it's just the green code like, but he sees it like in the movie. It's like, oh, I know exactly what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like talking about like the Packers coaching staffs and like how they were historically not that piece was so well done about like how the amount of tenure that they had outside the organization was like dead last, and not even dead last by a small amount, by like even if you know even like if it was just by miles. Like I just love everything he touches. It's like the Midas touch turns to gold, and I just really appreciate the way he thinks and talks. And any time I can watch Justice on a podcast, or if there's an article that comes out from Acme Packing, like I'm definitely gonna take a gander and see what he has to say, because it's usually right on point, and it's hard for me to disagree with him. But if I do, I let him know about it. We chat every once in a while.
Love that.
That's such a good pick for like a category of who is the one, if it's like a desert island content creator almost, right? Because in addition to everything you said there, he's also like a super nice guy. I think I mentioned before we started recording today that we had him on the podcast not too long ago, and just a sweet dude, you know. So smart, so generous with his time and his expertise and ideas, and to boot, you know, he's like the coolest kid at school because he's friends with like Nate Tice and like Mina Kimes. Like those people like mention him like on their podcast. Just like if something Packers comes up, you almost always hear like Mina Kimes say, "Oh, of course, Justice Mosquito was saying." It's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, and like he's like an expert on everything too, right? It's like, oh, you want to know about the defensive front, you know, personnel and packages? Great. I'll write 2,000 words on that, like without blinking. You want to know what type of scheme that Gannon's running? I'll tell you everything he's done for the past 10 years, every stop he's been, and what's likely going to happen. You want to, you know, he absolutely holds his own on salary cap, which I love. You know, talking to him about that stuff too. It's the dude knows a lot about a lot, and I really appreciate it. And he's just like you said, he's just a cool dude.
Great.
Yeah, handles it. Yeah, he's just the
best.
Know,
he did say this week on his weekly spot with Andy, he did say, I could get really into the salary cap, but I don't need to because we have Ken. I can ask Ken questions about it. So, you know, I think you might find the feeling as
I want to take a pause there too. I love when other people are doing stuff on the cap. Like I don't plant a flag. I don't say that's mine. I'm not circling. Like I spoke about it because I felt like not enough people were, right? There was a lot of conversation going on about that was not taking that into account, and it was kind of what I would refer to as fantasy football sometimes, where it's like, no, it's not going to happen.
Makes sense.
Just, you know, unless these other things go like. But I love that, you know, now there's a lot more people talking about it. Especially, you know, and part of it was, you know, the post-COVID world where things declined on the cap and things became tighter around the league. So I think a lot of people had to learn about it. But I love when other people are spending time digging into the cap and talking about it and making thoughtful analysis around it. I love it. That's the whole point. Again, teaching, having people, the more people who want to know about it, the better.
Right.
So, have at it.
Absolutely.
Maddie, what do you have for your first superlative?
Well, Ken, I love that you sort of laid the groundwork here talking about Justice's article about the number of years of tenure on the coaching staff and the reference to Justice Moscato and all that stuff, because my first superlative, we've been gone for a few weeks, so this one wasn't from this past week, but from the time that we since we last recorded, I'm going to call this best, let's say, scathing indictment. So John Meerdink, Blue 58, and also he writes for Acme Packing Company, one of my favorite creators, took that clip of Rob Domofsky, you know, signing off about Justice Mosqueda, acting like he didn't know who he was. Give me a break. Of course, you know who he is. Going off about this article on, I don't know if it was what the show was he was doing it on, but suffice to say, John Meerdink played the whole clip of Rob Domofsky, you know, running his mouth. I'm just going to say it like that. And then the episode was like, basically, you're not so special. Like anybody could develop contacts, could like, you know, find people they can get stuff from, can develop the sort of like cred and get the credentials and stuff that somebody who is like a certified beat reporter has. Like, stop putting yourself above everybody else. Like we value the work that you do, but like bing, 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 here are the reasons why I'm saying this. And he really like ran through it. And it was like, here are things that I've done myself that is like the same sort of like level of what a beat reporter has to do in these different like forums and like to be able to get the information they get. You're not so special. And like some of it was like, okay, you know what I mean? I definitely, you know, for as crappy, you know, as it was for Domofsky to go and do this, you know, he's still like, I understand he is a professional and like you have to have some amount of respect for what he or like a, you know, Matt Schneidman or a Bill Huber, all these people we talk a lot on the show, there's a certain amount of respect for what they do, but I think he made a lot of valid points that were you know, very eloquently expressed, like everything he talks about. And for somebody who is usually so like, you know, reserved and in his approach and his tone with his beautiful stentorian voice, I love it when he gets into like attack mode, because it reminded me of like one of my last like most favorite episodes from him was when he was talking about how football is knowable, and it's kind of it was born off of something that Bill Huber had said about like you can't really know what the play was supposed to be in this situation, and he it wasn't as quite as fiery because, you know, I think we all love Bill Huber because he's amazing, right? But he got into like, no, you can figure it out, and like you look at again like the stuff that Dusty does, for example, like you can figure out what the play call was. There's enough out there, there's enough information. The playbooks from previous years are available as PDFs if you know who to get them from. So like that was his last like most fiery one, kind of talking about you're wrong, this is how it is. And so this one was ramping it up to a new level of like, you know, of fire, and it was so good. Wow. I highly recommend that episode. It's from a couple weeks ago. It was specifically, I'll tell you, it was shoot, I had it. Okay, there it goes. Episode 977. It was called "What Do We Want from Packers Media." So good.
I was actually, I was watching that live when that happened with Rob Domofsky. So really, I'm in like the greater Milwaukee area, and I listen sometimes to Wildy and Tausch in the morning, and it was on Wildy's show, and they caught him. And they caught, like, he was just in a bad mood. He was out like snow blowing, whatever. They caught him like at like the worst time, so he was like already punchy and whatever. And then he just, something about that article just sent him off, and he just went wild. I actually messaged like Justice like immediately. I'm like, dude, Domofsky's like going nuts right now, and he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I pray for your mentions because it's gonna go wild, like literally live as it was happening. And so, I've talked to Rob a few times. Like he's normally a pretty level-headed, chill dude, but like, man, wrong play. And he's like, and if you share this, I threaten to quit. Like, if you make this into a YouTube thing, I'm quitting. I'm leaving. I'm never gonna come back. And then they of course cut it and made it.
Of course, screams. It screams. Make a short out of me. Yeah,
it was like, what is happening? It was wild.
Yeah, because I mean, like when John played the whole clip on the show, I hadn't heard it yet. And I was just like, oh my god, Domofsky, like take a breath, man, because he was in rare form for sure. I mean, you'll see little glimpses of, I think, like that that inner I don't know. Let's go with fire again. Let's use a much ruder word. Fire. Yeah, the fire. You know, Domofsky's fire. You see little glimpses of it here and there in the way how he might ask a question or interact with somebody else, but that was full blown like, whoa, Rob, holy cow.
Wow. Wasn't he the one who just generally made a disrespectful comment? Was it last year or the season before, just in general about, you know, non-professional reporters reporting on the Packers? Dismissive. Was that Rob?
He's punched down before. I mean, I think he was when he started the whole thing when JJ Leahy a few years back here was talking about somebody having a quiet, you know, training camp. And so I think it was Rob who kind of like led the charge with like kind of making fun of him, and then a couple other reporters joined on, and it's kind of ugly. I thought, it's like, you guys, JJ is not a threat to you. He's a good dude. He does good work, but this is a different sort of thing. So like, just leave him alone. Like, it was weird.
I sense some insecurity on the part of, you know, they're feeling threatened by the
independent folks out there doing stuff.
Right. Yeah. And they should be. They should feel threatened, because a lot of them are honestly better at what they do. I'm going to be honest, because there's been a few that I've just you just naturally you would follow the Rob Demovskys and the Matt Schneidmans and that kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, they're the people, they're the ones, they're the anointed ones, and they're professional and they're trained and they generally do a good job. But you know what? Yeah, it's not necessary. I missed this whole thing, so I'm like,
drama.
And like the thing about this one article in particular was like, it wasn't wrong. Like
right.
Like it was like straight math and whatever. And then there was one point, and then Justice like, okay, great, I'll give you that one thing maybe, but then even still, they're still dead last. Like, so it still doesn't. It's not as impactful as you may have think. Like, that's just how like stark the numbers were in like in Justice's piece. Like he did a good job. It wasn't just like guy copy and pasting something from the internet and like calling it a report. Like he's like, hey, I did some analysis. This is where numbers show it. No one's ever looked at this before. It's kind of wild. And again, I just think it was a weird day for Rob, but usually he's not going to be so punchy with that stuff. I've talked to Rob a few times, in my cap journey and things like that, and gotten to know him a little bit, but I've never seen anything like that. But
it was crazy.
We all have
we all have our moments. Right, that's right.
True.
That's right.
Give it some grace for that. And before we move away from it, I just want to say too that for Justice's part, I was so impressed with his response to that, which was like, oh, like, no, it's no offense, like whatever. He's got a viewpoint, and like, I'm not offended. Like, it's like, oh, that's so mature. I love that.
Yeah, that's why he's the best.
Yeah, seriously.
That's the way to
Desert Island, I can only have one channel into Packer fandom. That's my guy.
Love it.
I see some of this same kind of tension in true crime also. With a lot of YouTube sleuths coming out, and all of a sudden they're like having 1 million followers and living the life and whatnot, but they're doing just as good of work as anyone who works for whatever Law and Crime or whomever is the the benchmark reporters that are covering these things. And so they feel threatened, and the best ones, though, they'll embrace each other and work together and make a more even unique product, because especially if you're doing like investigative things, which is what we're talking about with true crime, and I think in sports too, you're digging down into places where other people don't see. Working together is better, pooling your resources and things like that. So I don't like what I've picked up on several times is, let's just do this weird article to grab attention and views, clickbait, whatever you call it, from some of the ones that you would expect more from. And then these kind of comments, these, like you say, Matt, punching down. It's just like, come on, man, we don't need to do that. But I can also understand why they feel threatened.
Yeah.
Because they are being threatened.
I love your comment about like, working together and stuff. Like there's a lot of people on Twitter that could have never given me the time of day, but they reach out to me, I reach out to them, I ask questions, and like really helped me and got to like I wouldn't be able to like do a lot of things with like I would wasn't kind of given on like a good path or like some advice or correcting me when I'm wrong, like because I don't pretend to know everything by any means, like but it's them like a few shout outs, like the cap guy from the Patriots, the cap guy from the Texans, the Twitter cap guys, like nicest dudes ever. I've never met them in person, but like thank you for some of the help and advice and like answering some questions or maybe showing me a resource I didn't know it existed. Like that's what it's about. Like I'm just some guy on the internet talking about salary cap who's figured out a good chunk of it, but there's still a bunch I don't know, and I'm trying to help other people understand, or at least understand the business side through that lens. And it's there's no way I'd be able to do that if like everyone had the attitude of like, no, my thing, I'm talking about this, go away. And I think that's just cool. Like all the cap nerds, like we all kind of help each other out. So
it's beautiful. Oh, I love it.
That's right. I'm leaving the superlatives to you, gentlemen. So, Ken, and do you have another one for us tonight, or I guess?
Yeah, this isn't any like specific content creator or anything like that, but I cannot not talk about this because I think it's so hilarious, and I call it the best backfire, and that is the NFL owners. All right, they fought hard to shut down the NFLPA report cards, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you saw that the past couple of weeks, right? Like the owners, like because the NFLPA would put out the report cards and they give letter grades. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Right. And they actually won an arbitration saying they battled over the CBA saying the NFLPA cannot publish this stuff because of some rule. And it's like, you can't, and I could see the legal reasoning for maybe why it was ruled that way. But all it really does is say, okay, the NFLPA, you can't publish these, but it doesn't mean you can't do the analysis. And doesn't mean that you can't tell other people and get out there. So like today, right, the 26th of February, like the combine's going on right now. The big dudes are running, like RAS scores are all over. No one's talking about that because what happened is now the new version of these grades are out. They got leaked. And now it's forbidden insight. It's forbidden knowledge because big bad owners don't want you. So now what's happening is now the information that they wanted to kibosh is now sought out even more and discussed even more. It's all anyone's talking about on social media are the grades and how it ranks and the leaks and what where the Packers are. And it's worse now than when it was had the owners just been like, and it's wild. And now I just saw right before we came on that a memo was sent out by the league to all the teams saying, don't address these questions in the media. It's best if you don't so that it's only going to make it worse. The more the owners try to tap this down, the more fans are going to be like, what's in there? What does this say? I need to know about it, and I'm going to analyze it. And there's going to be YouTube content and everything about it, articles written, and it's just going to be a bigger monster. So that's my biggest backfire. It's not a particular, something I saw in terms of content or podcast, but it's like it is going to lead to so much content, to so much conversation, because like one or two owners didn't like the way it was graded, and so they throw a little bit of a tantrum and get a technical win, which I guess is the kind that matters. But in the long run, it's like you won the battle, but you're going to lose the war on this. And I think it's just all time, backfire for the league, and it's only going to give the NFLPA more ammunition to go after those owners for not doing what they need to do.
Right.
But it feels like if a parent tells their kid, like, you can't date that kid from the other side of town, that's just going to draw them closer together. It's like you're just making it worse.
Well, and that's why as an established reporter, you don't talk down about a YouTuber, because guess who's going to just get another million followers because they didn't even know who this dude was. You just talked about. And so we don't, it's a classic backfiring thing. We don't need to call attention to the thing that we want hidden. It's especially now with social media. It's like, oh, what is that? Let's go find out. My sister told me that Packers players they did not have great ratings of Lambeau Field, of the field. That's what she said.
I haven't been able to look at the full report. I know that there I know some highlights. I know, the field was mentioned lower than maybe I would have expected.
Yeah.
But, there's definitely some real trash fields out there. That's for sure. I wouldn't call Lambeau that, but I know it's, there's been complaints. You see a lot of other players slipping at Lambeau, I feel like, but I don't think Green Bay would particularly comment because it's about their own team. So it's like,
is it maybe a weather thing? Like, are they just really complaining?
But, I know that the training facility got really dinged, and that was like a big step down. But I think Nagler mentioned particularly because he had some like the early kind of leak on this before it became like full blown.
Mm-hmm.
But like the training room is like being completely redone. So if they're talking about like stuff being like cramped or like boxes in the corners or whatever, or like the equipment being not out of date, my understanding, at least through the lens of what Nagler was able to say, is that like they're working on it. Like they're doing a big upgrade, similar to like the locker room. Like years ago,
locker room.
Yeah, years ago the Packers like grade was terrible on the locker room, and then now they've got it's like an A+, like that, and their locker room's awesome now. And so like what's great is that those report cards actually drove meaningful change in the organization, which is great.
Exactly.
The one that I thought that stood out, and people laugh at this, is that offensive coordinator was a straight C, and that was like their lowest like overall like category was like C across the board. Like they didn't go into like the D's or F's. And like it's just kind of funny because like Packer fandom collectively has been like, what does Adam Stenavich do?
Yeah.
And there's been part of the fan base that pushes back, be like, well, you don't know what he does, he might be really valuable. But then it's funny then to see the Packers locker room basically rate him as just like a guy, right? And so he exists, he's a C, he's there.
Wow.
But I thought that was interesting. I also thought it was interesting that of the defensive coordinator, so Hafley was like an A-. Bisaccia was like a B+, and LaFleur was a B-.
Yeah.
So like the three-headed, leadership of the Packers, LaFleur is the only one that's still here, and he was kind of the lowest rated out of the trio, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it, but that was just one thing that I saw.
I was really surprised and kind of disheartened to see LaFleur get a B-. It's like, like I want to believe in him and trust in him and stuff like that. But if he's going to B- for like, not being super respectful to the players or something like that.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, I think the metric, again, a lot, I haven't read like the actual like report that's out there, but a lot of it's coming from the earlier stuff. Was apparently LaFleur was the second lowest in the league at how the players felt their coach respected them. Not the other way. I think some people read it as like the players not respecting the coach. But I read it as like they don't think the coach respects them, which I found that was wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know, because a lot of the guys at the end of the year seemed to be like, we want him back. We love the guy. I don't know. Maybe it was McManus, after the I don't talk to kickers comment.
Yeah.
maybe that's tanking the ratings. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got the whole special teams unit to turn against LaFleur. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be just a couple of outliers that have a grudge or something too that can bring that average down.
I also know that this was done before the 5-game losing streak too. So like morale was still high back then too, right? Like going into that like Denver game, like things are looking good for the Packers overall, and apparently that's around the time these surveys are going out. I would be interesting to see what would happen if they like did it like at locker room clean out when they're lost 5 games in a row, and some of them in embarrassing fashion if they're have different thoughts and opinions.
Indeed. Joe saying here in the comments, Matt LaFleur was a B- and Jonathan Gannon was a B+.
I did notice from last year's ratings, which was something that caught my eye, because again, once this made news, I then like, what were the ratings last year, right? And the Cardinals last year, the highest, their report card was a disaster.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
But the one thing that stood out was head coach. That was the highest thing. I'm like, well, that's our guy now, right? Maybe we got the right dude. So we'll see.
Very interesting. Whew.
I know, that's puzzling.
Yeah,
that opened up a can of worms there. I've been a little bit out of the loop on this one, so now I'm
well, it just hit Dawn. Like, just
my
today,
sister
right?
just told me about it. She's like, hey, by the way,
yeah.
I'll be interested to see what else kind of trickles out from that too in the coming days as more leaks kind of spring.
I'm a little nervous. after hearing B- from that LaFleur,
I know.
respecting others. That
I
just,
know.
but it could be just like a head coach thing too, because when you're the head coach, it's like when you're the CEO of a company, how well can you project your respect of everybody? Like that, you've got a lot going on. So, I'm not trying to make excuses for LaFleur.
Yeah, I'm just I know I like trying to
right.
think about how could the players be thinking about it, right?
Right.
Maybe I know that he likes to departmentalize, right? He's the offensive guy. He wants to live in the offensive world. He likes to hire coaches on the defensive side who have been there, done that. So he doesn't really kind of have to deal with that side, and of course on the special team. So maybe it's some of the defensive guys who just want some some attention. They want their coach to
delegate.
Like, we play for you too. They just want a head coach hug, and maybe they're not getting it. So
that's a good point. Yeah, because it might be totally defensive special teams who are like dinging him, whereas maybe it's the offense is like, no, it's a guy. Like, we're with him all the time. That could be part of it.
Yeah. What do you have, Maddie? What do you have next?
Well, I have two last ones. I can kind of group them fast because I will say too, if for the folks who are still listening, thank you. For the folks who are still here watching, thank you.
We love it.
He's at the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, marathon episode, which I'm making no apologies for because this has been amazing. But
it's been amazing, and we haven't been together, Matt and I, for a couple of weeks. So we haven't even talked about the Super Bowl. So
perfect storm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's not much to say about it.
Yeah, there's nothing to say. That's why we
being honest. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of throw my last two together here, kind of rapid fire. So first one, best dude. So you guys probably saw this. This is like we're talking a lot about Justice Mosqueda tonight. So Justice, did a show with Andy with his luchador, his Packers luchador mask on. And so there's a guy in the Bears fandom who has a Bears luchador mask and saw this and like they kind of started a fake beef with him. And so they did a bet, and it was like whoever was going to win the playoff game between the Packers and the Bears, the other person had to send their mask, sort of like a pelt to put on the wall to the other person between Justice and Bear Mysterio is the name of the account, Bear Mysterio. So Packers lost. And Justice, an honorable man, sent his mask to Bear Mysterio, and part of the thing was like, send it so he can like burn it. And he's like, did this whole thing about like, I'm going to destroy this mask, and he had like a video where he had like the lighter up to him, and he said, "No, I'm just kidding. I can never destroy a mask. I'm loyal to masks." And so what he did instead is he like pimped it out, as he said, like put like patches on it, like a ponytail, and sent it back to Justice. Then like, here, man, I made your mask even cooler. And how awesome is that? So when I say this superlative is best dude, I'm talking about Bear Mysterio, Bears fan.
Thank you, Bears fan. I love that.
I saw that. I heard about the bet a little bit later, and then I kind of like looked at that and everything, because I know Justice, like, dude, he said straight up, like on a later episode after he got the mask back, he's like I feel bad now, because he's like, I was totally gonna hang that thing on the wall as like a trophy. Like, he's like, I got a spot right here. That's where it's going to be. You're going to see it every time I'm on a thing. And so he's like, I feel bad. He's like, this dude, he's just awesome. He's like, and that's what fandom should be, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the fun part. Like, I hate that, like, going back to an earlier comment, it's like the whole, like, my dad can beat up your dad type of stuff that happens on Twitter between, Bears and Packer fans. I feel like a lot. And like everyone's retweeting everyone and like causing more. It's like, like that's just good old natured, like, fun, and that's respect of the rivalry, and like it's good stuff, and
it's good stuff.
Best dude for sure.
That's really cool. I love that.
An awesome story.
Yeah.
And so for as much as that's best dude, I actually have my last one is actually an even better dude. So my even better dude, and you'd have to go pretty far above and beyond to hit better than that Bear Mysterio stuff. So over the course of many, many hours, more than the 2 hours we're doing here today, many hours, a very special person raised $1 million for charity. Of course, I'm talking about Tom Grossi, who raised $1 million for a charity that's called Undo Medical Debt.
Yes.
And like,
there's
only so much you can say about Tom Grossi, because he's who we all should want to be like, somebody who got a platform and then uses it just for doing good, and was justifiably the NFL Fan of the Year a couple of years back. Like, just the best dude. So congratulations to Tom and everybody who contributed, pitched in some money and stuff like that. That is amazing.
And and I know Tom would want us to talk about what the charity does. And that was such an amazing choice. I mean, he does such a great job at vetting charities and who's going to do his fundraisers for. But medical debt is something that hits home really close to me because I have a lot of medical bills. Can really destroy many people if they are not ready, set in their life to take on medical emergencies or things, that might be a lifetime of medical debt because of a, incurable condition or something like that. So it's the number one cause for bankruptcy in the United States. A lot of people, have really negative viewpoints of bankruptcy, but who takes advantage of the bankruptcies laws that were meant for things like this are, billionaires and people, who don't deserve that kind of medical debt is one of those very important, unique situations where sometimes you just can't get out of debt because it's so medical bills can drown you. Yeah. So what a great cause that was. And I'm just so I know that Tom would want us talking also about that too. But what a great shout out, Matt. I love it. He did a great job as usual.
Yeah, it's hard to find a better dude than Tom.
Oh.
The dude, for all, he's living his best life, right? Like when he started his like journey, he had no idea that where this would go. And he's, this isn't the first charity he's done this for. Like the guy, the guy is, chaotic good, and I love that, right? Like that's something like that's like my energy, believe it or not. Like, it's like I love just what he's able to do and where he's grown and where he's going to continue to go. And the Fan of the Year thing is just insane. I think about that a lot. Like, holy cow! Like this guy. Like I remember going on his podcast. He came on to the, I think, Unknown Packers podcast too back in the day. It's just what an awesome human being.
One of the things I also love about him is so many, but he refuses, and to this date has not taken 1 cent of ad money or sponsorships from betting companies. And that is really hard to do if you have a sports podcast. They will pay anybody to average anybody, even like that is such a great standard because of the amount of harm that can happen from that. He will not sell out. That's just, so I don't know of any other podcast that does that because pretty much every podcast you listen to, I mean, of course I just tune them out, but a lot of people don't tune those things out, especially like college age, even teenagers. Speaking of debt that you can't get out of, that's another one. This betting stuff, medical, you have no choice. But a lot of these people who get caught up in bets that they can't pay off or they may pay off for the rest of their life are young people, and there are many there's like a super high rate of suicide now because of this. So what a great standard that Tom has for that as well. I appreciate that very much about him. God, I feel like I'm lecturing now. Oh my god.
No. I get it. I feel the same way. Like it's just so exhausting, like watching like the Super Bowl, right? Like every like third ad was, at least like in the early part, where they're like, hey, bet now, you can bet during the game. Hey, remember that you can bet. Hey, I know it's been 10 minutes, but hey, you guys can still bet.
Still time.
Like it was like I'm like, okay, this is now becoming a little much. Like I get that gambling is going to be a thing and people are going to do it, but like it's everywhere. And there's a reason. I just find it really odd. Not odd, but just like for years, the NFL was like, not allowing gambling. You say the word gambling, you're suspended, whatever. And now it's like we're talking odds like almost on the broadcast where talk. It's just
they have broadcasts just for that. Yeah,
it's wild how much the league has shifted and the money is just there. And to your point,
huge.
a lot of people are kind of they're there for it too. And I did not know that about Tom. I did not know that he is gambler advertisement free.
He is.
That's to your point. That's hard. That's probably
it is very hard
for people trying to
the amount of money with the number of followers he has that he could bring in just to do it once, a year. I mean, it's no. I like that he stands by, his standards and is a great example. I heard Peter King, he's retired now, big sports reporter, mentioned on a interview once a couple of years ago that it's not too far off from now there'll be I don't know what you call them because I'm not into gambling, but you call it kiosks for gambling. They'll be gambling right in every stadium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
oh yeah.
I would think about that. I was like, I hope Lambeau is the one that holds out and doesn't do it. But there's so many gambling casinos in that area because of the Indian casinos, the Indian type gambling sponsors. So it's like maybe they won't be the holdout, but that's really sad to think you're going to walk in to the atrium and they're going to be like, it's going to be like being in Las Vegas. To get to the field to watch the game.
Yeah, we might be not too far away from them having patches on their uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
Or you ever, I don't know, like obscure reference. Have you guys ever seen Talladega Nights?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, like where he's a race car driver. Don, if you're not familiar, and with race cars, they're notoriously covered in like ads. And in that movie, he sells an ad on the windshield. So he's like driving. He's like, this sure is inconvenient, but I feel like that's kind of where we're getting towards with gambling. It's just in your face. And so, the kiosks, I think it's the natural next step, right? How are they going to make more money? Going overseas and gambling is kind of, I feel like the levers are going to keep pulling, and we'll see.
Yeah. But not Tom, not our Tom.
Not our Tom. Right. So that's a great shout out. Appreciate that.
Not the even better dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
The best dude.
You can stand up, and do the right thing. You really can. Yeah. I love that. Especially in the podcasting world. And that's what our show is about is shouting out content creators, right? So above and beyond for him for sure. Well, gentlemen, it's been so therapeutic to speak with you and just chit chat about football, even though there's no football going on, because there really is football. I mean, football has got everything all year. Any final thoughts, Ken, before we again thank you for joining us? Any final thoughts before we call it a night?
No, I love that we spent 2 hours and 13 minutes as I'm reading this right now. Oh my God. And like I maybe spent like 10 minutes talking like numbers, and I love it. I love just talking to people. Like I said, like the community is great, and I think there's like there's a therapy to this, right? Like we all just love, like we're all hobbying together, we're all fanning together, and it's just fun to just talk and like understand what makes us tick and like what motivates us and what we love. And it's been great. I absolutely loved every second of this, and I could do another 2 hours, but
all right.
Well, you'll come back and do that, and we'll probably talk more about the cap stuff too. I mean, I thought that's where my brain was going to go, but it didn't. I kind of went with the flow. So
yeah.
Well,
of course, Ken, where can people find your stuff, especially your new YouTube channel?
I'm hanging out mostly on Twitter still, X. Been there at Ken Ingalls, so you can see down below KENINGALLS.
That's right.
YouTube is now the same thing. That's been up and running for about a week. That was more of a result of peer pressure, if anything.
Yeah.
Again, the community's been like, hey, can you it'd be nice if you can like maybe talk a little bit more about this, or when are you gonna do YouTube? Ken, have you done YouTube yet? I'm like, fine, I'll start doing the thing, see how it goes. And I've been having fun with it. It's been fun.
It is.
Definitely different muscle to flex a little bit, but kind of finding my groove there. I've been posting like leading up to like trying to get fans right now up and running on like some of the basics. Like, okay, here's my cap numbers. Let me explain where I'll post things out, and there's a lot of numbers in there. Okay. I'll be like, let me explain where I get these from. Like, so I'm not just pulling them out of the sky. Like, let's think about what these actually mean and represent. So starting there, and like, some of the things we talked about, what's our cap situation today? What would it be if we do some of these easy things? And then, now I'll jump into some of the things people really want, like what are they gonna do with Aaron Banks? 20-minute video. I'll tell you all my thoughts about it.
Right.
I can't do on Twitter as easily.
Right.
Nate Hobbs, and trying to get as much of that out there before the moves start happening, and then kind of. So I've been kind of aggressively putting things out about like once a day, and we'll kind of see where it goes. But I've been having fun with that. Also, I've been able to put a few things out on Sports Illustrated. Working with Bill Huber a little bit. He kind of gave me an opportunity to be like, hey, he asked me some questions, and I wrote, as we can tell, right? I like to talk, and it's this right. I tend to say a lot of words when a few will do. And he's like, hey, this can be its own whole article. Let's get you set up. You can post this yourself instead of me pretending that, I'm saying it. He's like, what? And so that's been awesome. I've been able to kind of put a few things out there as well. So definitely not full-time or doing anything over there, but just kind of, when there's opportunity, he's been like, hey, do you want to maybe, what would it be if you, threw an article out there? So, but mostly, Twitter, YouTube now, and, the occasional article maybe coming out with Sports Illustrated from time to time. We'll see.
Very cool, man. Well, I can't thank you enough, Ken. This has been so cool getting to talk to you and get to know you as a person, and not just like due to spreadsheets who I occasionally have like message with. Like, Ken, I think of you a friend as a friend now, and that's
absolutely
lovely,
that's the way it should be.
That's right.
Love it.
Well, done. Anything else before I bring it home?
No, I'm just excited to go follow Ken Ingalls on YouTube now. And again, that's at KENINGALLS. It's not EN, it's IN. So KENIN. I had to double check it.
My wife's mad at me because, she wants to like monogram or like decorative. There's no I's anywhere. No one has the last name with I. Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So she's like, she gets mad at me. She's like, why'd I take your name?
I should work some stuff. I do some graphic design stuff, so I should work up some stuff for your monogram towels.
Yes.
Yes. I'll finally be able to sleep at night. I got monogram towel options.
Then life is complete.
You must. All right, Maddie. Well, let's bring her home then.
All right. Well, friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you possibly next week on
Hey, we like your pod.